Welcome back, everyone. Today, in this explainer, we're going on a totally fascinating high-stakes architectural tour. But, we aren't looking at skyscrapers or ancient castles. Instead, we're shrinking way down to explore the microscopic fortresses known as bacteria. By looking at exactly how these tiny organisms build their physical defenses, we can actually map out and classify the entire microbial world. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the sheer number of bacteria out there, you are absolutely going to love the logic and structure we're about to uncover. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We're going to map the microscopic world, check out the thick-walled fortresses, decode the gram stain, dive into the gram rosters, pivot over to the rule breakers, and wrap up with exactly why this forensic map matters so much in science and medicine. All right, part 1, mapping the microscopic world. To categorize these invisible organisms, we literally just have to look at the physical barriers they build around themselves to survive. So let's just dive right into this massive, frankly brilliant hand-drawn map. This single chart is basically the master blueprint of bacteriology. If you look closely, you'll see the whole complex taxonomy is built on just 3 main architectural structures right at the very top. Bacteria either have a thick cell wall, a thin cell wall, or they're entirely cell wall-less. It's this beautifully simple starting point for organizing an otherwise chaotic microscopic universe. Now, before we go down those branches, we need to quickly equip ourselves with 2 really critical vocabulary terms, cocci and bacilli. When scientists look through a microscope, they're looking at the shape of the bacteria. If the fortress is round, it's a cocci. If it's shaped like a rod or a cylinder, it's a bacilli. Seriously, keeping just those 2 foundational shapes in mind is going to make the rest of this map incredibly easy to follow. Moving on to Section 2, the thick-walled fortresses. This is actually the largest category on our blueprint. Okay, so when scientists identify a bacteria with a thick cell wall, their immediate next step is to observe its behavior. They check if these thick-walled fortresses are free-living, meaning can they survive on their own out in the environment, or if they are obligate intracellular. Obligate intracellular means, well, exactly what it sounds like. These are microscopic invaders that absolutely must live inside a host cell to survive and multiply. They don't have a choice. These represent some highly specialized, kind of rogue forces in the microbial world. Under that obligate intracellular branch, we find notorious bugs like chlamydia and rickettsia. But if you look at the map, there's another really unique offshoot for the free-living bacteria, the acid-fast bacilli. These specific fortresses are so waxy and tough that standard diagnostic dyes just bounce right off them. No way! They require a completely unique test called a Ziehl-Neelsen stain, or acid-fast test, and this is the exact forensic tool used to identify the devastating culprits behind things like tuberculosis and leprosy. Section 3. Decoding the gram stain. This is the primary forensic test for those free-living bacteria. Notice the really helpful color coding here, which is a massive help if you're a visual learner. The gram stain acts as our main forensic test. When a special chemical dye is applied, bacteria with a certain type of thick wall absorb it. They hold onto it tightly and they turn this deep blue. Those are gram-positive. But bacteria with a different wall structure, they lose that blue dye, they take up a counterstain, and they turn pink. Those are gram-negative. So blue is positive, pink is negative. It's this absolutely critical visual mnemonic baked directly into our source map. All right, Section 4, the gram rosters. Let's start drilling down into some famous bacterial culprits. Let's actually apply our rules here. If we have a blue stain and a round shape, boom, we have gram-positive cocci. This branch houses household names you've definitely heard of, like Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, and Pneumococcus. But contrast that with the gram-negative side. If the bacteria stains pink and it's round, we've got gram-negative cocci. A prime example here is Neisseria, which includes the really nasty subtypes responsible for meningitis and gonorrhea. The logic here is just so incredibly clean. So the crucial takeaway is how this map connects directly to reality, to everyday clinical practice. Our source material highlights a huge, high-stakes medical fact. Pneumococcus, which is a gram-positive cocci, is the leading cause of community-acquired pneumonia. So this isn't just, abstract taxonomy. Identifying that blue, round fortress tells a doctor exactly what they might be up against inside a patient's lungs. Let's trace another pathway. Step 1. The bacteria is gram-positive, so it's blue. Step 2. We look through the microscope and see it's a bacilli, so a rod shape. Step 3. We observe if it produces spores. Spores are basically these tiny, nearly indestructible biological shields. If it does produce them, we land at Step 4. Spore-forming rods. This includes bacillus and the anaerobic Clostridium, which is famous for causing tetanus and botulism.
See how we just logically followed those biological clues right down the line? But what if those blue rods don't form spores? Well, the map gives us a brilliant student study hack. Right there in the chart, there's a mnemonic to help memorize the complex non-spore forming gram-positive bacilli. It's NaCl, literally just like the chemical formula for salt.
Let's break that NaCl mnemonic down. The N stands for nocardia, and the A stands for actinomycosis. Now, these two are categorized as mixed because they actually have somewhat fungal-like properties. Kind of wild, right? Now for the pure side, the C stands for Corynebacteria, and the L is for Listeria. These are considered pure, non-spore-forming bacilli. It's just an incredibly efficient way to categorize this specific little neighborhood of bacteria.
Okay, let's swing over to the pink side of the map, the gram-negative bacilli. For these pink rods, scientists use a totally different dividing line. It's all about location, specifically the human intestine. They're categorized really simply as enteric, meaning they live in the intestine, or non-enteric, meaning they don't.
Now, that enteric branch is packed with notorious bugs. To handle this completely dense roster of intestinal invaders, our master map provides a second major memory tool, the mnemonic PPKSSVB.
Let's run through this dense roster really rapidly. PPEK stands for Pseudomonas, Proteus, E. coli, and Klebsiella. Then, SSVB stands for Salmonella, Shigella, Vibrio cholera, and the anaerobic Bacteroides. The map also tags on Campylobacter jejuni and Yersinia enterocolitica to this enteric group. Seriously, without that PPEK SSVB trick, trying to memorize this overwhelming list of microscopic, gram-negative intestinal rods would be an absolute nightmare.
And this brilliantly illustrates the other half of our pink rods, the non-enterics. These are the gram-negative bacilli that do not call your intestines home. This roster completes our intense taxonomy of the thick-walled fortresses. It includes heavy hitters like Yersinia pestis, which is the devastating cause of the bubonic plague, along with Bordetella, Brucella, Haemophilus, and Legionella.
All right, almost done. Section 5, the rule breakers. Let's look at the architectural anomalies.
If you remember the very top of our blueprint, not all bacteria have thick walls. Some have this fragile, spiral, thin cell wall. These are the spirochetes. That includes Treponema pallidum, which causes syphilis, as well as Borrelia and Leptospira. And then there are the ultimate rule breakers, the cell wall-less bacteria, like Mycoplasma and Uroplasma. Because they lack a standard fortress wall entirely, normal stains, like the gram stain we just talked about, are completely ineffective against them. They literally play by their own microscopic rules.
Finally, Section 6, why this map matters. It's all about this meticulous logic system.
Looking back at our master blueprint, just look at how successfully we navigated this space. We started all the way at the top from the highest architectural concepts of cell wall thickness, we used stains and shapes as our diagnostic tools, and we drilled all the way down to individual disease-causing bacterial species. This isn't just a random list, it is a meticulously structured system of logic. It's exactly what allows doctors and scientists to quickly narrow down an invisible enemy from thousands of possibilities to a single treatable target. And that leads us to a really fascinating final thought. Microbiology is a living, breathing, ever-expanding science. So, if a brand new bacteria is discovered tomorrow deep in the ocean or in some remote jungle, it won't break this system. We'd simply ask, what kind of wall does it have? What color does it stain? What shape is it? Basically, where does its architecture fit on this map? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.